Right now, somewhere in your house, there is a printer that will not print. You have paper, you have power, you have ink, you can hear the cartridge. You can hear it moving when you shake the cartridge. And the machine is saying no. That is not a fault. Nobody sold you a broken printer. Inside that cartridge, there is a chip. And that chip has exactly one job: to decide whether you are allowed to print, not whether there's ink, whether you're allowed. In 2003, a printer company took a man to court for copying that chip and argued it was piracy, under the same law written to stop people stealing films. For a while, they were winning. Stick around, because your printer isn't failing you. It's obeying someone. And by the end of this, you'll know their names. Start in North Carolina, 1990s. A company called Static Control makes a very boring product. Parts for people who refill used toner cartridges. Recycling, basically. Then Lexmark does something clever. Lexmark launches a program called Prebate. You get a cartridge cheaper, and in exchange you agree, by opening the box, that you'll use it once and send it back to Lexmark. Not to a refiller, to Lexmark. Now, a promise printed on a box is just words. So Lexmark put the promise inside the machine, a microchip in the cartridge, doing a little handshake with the printer. When the cartridge runs out, the chip switches itself off. Refill it all you like, the printer won't listen. Static Control worked out how the handshake worked and built a chip that could answer it. Cartridges lived again. And in 2003, Lexmark sued them, not for stealing a design, for copyright infringement, under the Digital Millennium Copyright Act. Sit with that. The DMCA is the law you break when you rip a DVD. Lexmark's argument was that the few lines of code in a toner chip were a creative work, and that getting past the handshake was circumventing copy protection. If that had held, refilling your own printer cartridge would have been, legally, closer to piracy than to repair. And it did hold, at first. Lexmark won an early injunction. Static Control's chips came off the market. It took until 2004 for the Sixth Circuit to throw it out. And read the reasoning, because it's brutal. The code was too trivial to be creative. The handshake didn't protect anything worth protecting. It was never security. It was a lock with no door behind it. Lexmark lost. But look at what everybody learned. Nobody in that courtroom concluded that locking cartridges was wrong. What they concluded was that copyright was the wrong tool. So the industry went looking for a better one. And 13 years later, the Supreme Court accidentally told them exactly where to find it. May 30th, 2017. Impression Products versus Lexmark, Supreme Court of the United States. Same company, same cartridges. This time the question is simple. Once Lexmark sells you a cartridge, does Lexmark still get to control it? The court says no. It's called patent exhaustion, and the reasoning is almost old-fashioned. When you sell a thing, you take the money and you give up the thing. Patent rights don't follow it around the world like a chaperone. That's a real win. It covers cartridges bought abroad too. And here is why your printer still doesn't work. The court closed the patent door. It left the contract door open, and it never touched the firmware door at all. A patent expires. A contract can be attached to anything, and a chip doesn't need a lawyer. So the fight left the courtroom and moved into a software update. HP calls it dynamic security. In plain language, firmware that checks whether the cartridge you installed is HP's and refuses the ones that aren't. It arrives the way everything arrives now, quietly, overnight. As an update, people woke up to printers that had worked yesterday, holding ink they had already paid for, refusing to use it. 2018, HP pays $1.5 million to settle in California, and another $1.35 million in Europe. They do it again in 2020. In December of that year, two ordinary businesses, an emergency housing nonprofit and a tire shop, sue. Their complaint says HP's updates functioned as malware. Their machines were not upgraded. They were disarmed. That case settled in 2024, and a federal judge approved it in March 2025. Now, how much did HP pay the customers? Nothing. Did HP admit wrongdoing? No. What the owners got was this. If you own one of 21 specific printer models, you may now decline the update that disables your ink. Read that again. The remedy for a machine that turned against its owner is the right to ask it not to. On 21 models, if you have the right one, you could reasonably think this is all a misunderstanding. Security, maybe. Protecting people from bad ink. On January 18th, 2024, HP's chief executive, Enrique went on CNBC and explained the business himself. We lose money on the hardware. We make money on the supplies. That's the whole machine, in 11 words. The printer isn't the product. The printer is the door. He kept going. HP wanted to reduce what he called unprofitable customers, and he defined one. A customer who doesn't print enough or doesn't buy HP ink is a bad investment. You are not the buyer in that sentence. You're the yield. And the long-term goal, he said, is to make printing a subscription. That already exists. HP's instant ink cartridges are licensed, not sold. Cancel the plan, and the cartridges in your machine are switched off remotely at the start of the next billing cycle. Ink that is physically in your house, that you can hold, stops working because a server decided so. Which brings us to the question this whole story has been building toward. If the chip is really about quality, what happens when the chips run out? January 2022. Global semiconductor shortage. Canon cannot get enough chips for its own toner cartridges. So Canon does the only thing it can. It ships cartridges without the chip, and the printers reject them. Canon's machines look at genuine Canon toner and call it counterfeit. So Canon Germany publishes a notice telling customers how to get around Canon's own copy protection. When the warning appears, press OK, press Continue, press Agree, and in that notice, the sentence that ends the argument. Canon states there is no negative impact on print quality when using consumables without electronic components. No impact from the manufacturer, in writing. The chip was never protecting your prints. When it became inconvenient for Canon told you how to ignore it, and nothing broke. If you have been watching this channel, you have heard this before. In 1924, a room full of light bulb manufacturers in Geneva agreed to make bulbs die at 1,000 hours and find each other for building anything better. That was the mechanical version. You had to design the failure into the object itself. This is the same idea with a software update. The failure doesn't have to be built in anymore. It can be sent. While we're here, 3 more things your printer does that you probably blamed yourself for. 1. Empty isn't empty. Independent testing has found cartridges declaring themselves dead, with anywhere from 8 to 36% of their ink still inside. Some models reporting empty with 40% of the black still in the tank. Some of that margin is genuine engineering, protecting the print head from running dry. Some of it is a number someone chose. 2. Most of your ink may never reach paper. Consumer Reports found that under normal, occasional home use, many inkjets deliver half or less of their ink to the page. A few manage 20 to 30%. The rest is spent cleaning the printhead. That's around $100 a year, evaporating inside the machine. And by volume, that ink runs somewhere between $1,500 and $9,500 a gallon. Consumer Reports measured the cheapest ink they could find at roughly twice the price of Dom Perignon. 3. And this one is the purest. Many Epson printers count how much waste ink has gone into an internal pad. When that counter reaches its number, the printer announces its service life is over and stops. Now, to be fair, The waste ink is real. The pad does fill, and pretending otherwise gets your desk ruined. But notice the design decision. The machine does not check the pad. It checks a counter. The part that ends your printer's life isn't a part. It's arithmetic. And here's the thing about the model underneath all of it. Everyone will tell you King Gillette invented this. Cheap razor, expensive blades. It's the oldest story in business. It isn't true. A University of Chicago study went through the actual prices, and from 1904 to 1921, exactly when Gillette held the patents and could have run the trick perfectly, Gillette did the opposite. He sold his razor sets at $5 while competitors sold theirs at $1. He only moved to cheap handle, expensive blade after the patents expired, and only because everyone else was already there. Which tells you what the model actually needs. Not an invention, a wall. Gillette's wall was a patent, and patents expire. That's the deal. You get protection, the public eventually gets the thing. A chip doesn't expire. Firmware never enters the public domain. There is no year in which your cartridge becomes free. So the next time your printer refuses a cartridge you paid for, understand what you're looking at. It isn't broken. It's working, precisely as designed by people who told a television audience exactly what they were doing and were never seriously punished for it. The light bulb had to be built to fail. Your printer just has to be told to. And if you think that's a strange way to sell a physical object, wait until you hear who decided you needed a diamond. One company, one advertising campaign, one of the most profitable sentences ever written. That story is next. And if you want to know exactly who designed the world you're living in, stick around.